Paris, 1973. David Bowie woke up on a paint-stained floor. His head was pounding. Mick Jagger was sitting across the room, staring at something on the wall. Neither of them spoke for 5 full minutes. Finally, Jagger whispered, "We need to burn this, right now." Bowie looked at the canvas. What they'd painted the night before, drunk, wild, unfiltered, was too honest, too real, too dangerous. "Nobody can ever see this," Jagger said. Bowie nodded, but as they carried the massive canvas toward the fireplace, Bowie stopped. "Wait. What if we don't burn it? What if we just wait?" That decision created a 50-year secret, a vault in Paris, a legal battle, and a painting that could destroy one of rock's greatest legends. Mick Jagger is 81 years old, and he's fighting harder than ever to keep that painting sealed. What did they create that night? And why is Jagger so terrified? If this story moves you, you can subscribe right now, because what you're about to hear has been buried for half a century, and the truth is more powerful than any rumor. November 13, 1973, a cramped studio apartment in the Marais district of Paris. David Bowie and Mick Jagger had been recording at Pathé Marconi Studios for 3 weeks. Bowie was finishing pin-ups. Jagger was between Rolling Stones projects. Both were exhausted. Both were restless. Both were running from something. The apartment belonged to a mutual friend, a French painter named Antoine who'd left town for the weekend. "Use the space," Antoine had said. "Create something. Destroy something. I don't care." That night, Bowie and Jagger sat on the floor with 2 bottles of Bordeaux. The conversation started light. Music, women, the absurdity of fame. But as the wine flowed, something shifted. The masks came off. "Do you ever feel like a fraud?" Bowie asked suddenly. Jagger looked at him. "Every single day. Like you're playing a character, and the character is more real than you are." "Yeah." Jagger's voice was quiet. "Yeah, exactly like that." They kept drinking. The conversation got darker, deeper, more honest than either had been with anyone in years. At some point, neither could remember exactly when, Bowie noticed a massive blank canvas leaning against the wall, 6 feet tall, 4 feet wide. "You ever painted?" Bowie asked. Jagger shrugged. "Not sober." Bowie stood, wobbling slightly. "Let's paint something, right now. No plan, no thinking, just whatever comes out." They found brushes, tubes of oil paint, charcoal, anything they could use. Bowie grabbed red and black. Jagger grabbed blue and white. They didn't discuss what they were creating. They just started. For 4 hours, they painted. Not side by side. Together. Overlapping. Bowie would make a stroke. Jagger would respond. Back and forth. A conversation in color and chaos. At some point, the painting stopped being abstract. Shapes became bodies, bodies became figures, and the figures became them. By 6 a.m., they were finished, exhausted, paint-covered. Both stepped back to look at what they'd created. And that's when the silence began. When Bowie woke up hours later, his first thought was, "What did we do?" The canvas dominated the room, impossible to ignore. In the morning light, it looked even more raw, more exposed, more dangerous. Mick Jagger sat across from it, still in his paint-stained clothes from the night before. He hadn't moved, hadn't slept, just stared. "Mick?" Bowie's voice was hoarse. Jagger didn't look at him. "We need to burn this. Right now." Bowie stood slowly, walked closer to the canvas. His stomach tightened, because now, sober, he could see exactly what they'd painted. 2 figures, naked, intertwined, not sexual, something more complicated, desperate faces contorted, not in pleasure, in fear, in confusion, in something that looked like pain. The faces were unmistakably theirs, Bowie's sharp features, Jagger's distinctive lips, but stripped of everything that made them rock stars. No Ziggy Stardust, no Mick Jagger swagger, just 2 terrified men. And across the top, in Bowie's handwriting, scrawled in black paint, "What we'll never admit." Bowie stood, wobbling slightly. Let's paint something, right now, no plan, no thinking, just whatever comes out. They found brushes, tubes of oil paint, charcoal, anything they could use. Bowie grabbed red and black, Jagger grabbed blue and white. They didn't discuss what they were creating, they just started. For 4 hours they painted, not side by side, together, overlapping. Bowie would make a stroke, Jagger would respond, back and forth, a conversation in color and chaos. At some point, the paintings stopped being abstract. Shapes became bodies, bodies became figures, and the figures became them. By 6 a.m., they were finished, exhausted, paint-covered. Both stepped back to look at what they'd created, and that's when the silence began. "Jesus Christ," Bowie whispered. "Nobody can see this," Jagger said. His voice was shaking. "Not the press, not our friends, nobody." Bowie nodded. Agreed. They stood together, gripped the edges of the canvas. It was heavy, awkward. They started carrying it toward the small fireplace in the corner of the apartment, but halfway there, Bowie stopped. "Wait." Jagger looked at him. "What? What if we don't burn it? Are you insane? What if we just wait, seal it, lock it away, 50 years? Maybe by then..." "By then what? The world will understand?" Jagger's laugh was bitter. "The world will never understand this." Bowie set his end of the canvas down. "Then we'll both be dead, and it won't matter." Jagger stared at him. "You're serious?" "I am." "Why?" Bowie looked at the painting. "Because we created something true last night, maybe the truest thing either of us has ever made, and I don't know if I can destroy that." Jagger was quiet for a long time. Finally, "If we do this, if we seal it, we need rules, a contract, witnesses, legal protection." They spent the next 3 days arranging everything. A lawyer, a vault in Paris, a contract with specific terms. This artwork, created November 13th, 14th, 1973, by David Bowie and Mick Jagger, will be sealed for 50 years. Release date, December 18th, 2023. If both artists are deceased by that date, the work will be released to the public. If one artist survives, that artist alone will decide the painting's fate. Both signed, both witnessed by the lawyer and Antoine, the apartment owner. The painting was professionally wrapped, placed in a climate-controlled vault in a private facility in the 6th arrondissement. The only photograph taken was for insurance purposes, sealed separately, available only to legal representatives. Before they locked it away, Jagger looked at it one last time. "Do you think we'll regret this?" Bowie didn't answer immediately. Finally, "I think we'll regret it either way." They shook hands, and they never spoke about the painting again. Not to each other, not to anyone. For 50 years, it remained a secret. David Bowie died January 10, 2016. He was 69 years old. Cancer. The world mourned, tributes poured in, his legacy was celebrated, but in his will, buried among instructions about his estate, was a sealed letter. The instructions were clear: to be opened only if Mick Jagger legally contests the release of the Paris painting. In November 2023, Mick Jagger's legal team filed an emergency injunction in French court. The painting was scheduled to be unveiled December 18th. Jagger was fighting to keep it sealed permanently. The letter was opened. Bowie's handwriting, shaking from illness, covered 2 pages. One paragraph has since been leaked. "Mick, if you're reading this, you're still alive, and you're afraid. I understand. That painting shows who we really were that night. Not the rock stars, the scared kids, the confused ones, the ones who didn't know who they were supposed to be. If you need to keep it hidden, I forgive you. Some truths are heavier than fame. Some secrets protect more than they reveal. I trust your judgment. Whatever you decide, I'll understand." David. The French judge asked Jagger's lawyer, "What is in this painting that warrants this level of legal action?" The lawyer declined to answer on grounds of privacy, but Margot Lacroix could have answered. She was the art conservator hired in 2019 to examine the painting's condition for insurance purposes. She signed an NDA. She's never broken it publicly, But in a sealed deposition, she described what she saw. Two male figures, nude, embracing, not romantically, desperately, like they're trying to merge into one person or escape from themselves. Their faces show terror, confusion, something that looks like shame. The brushwork is violent, chaotic. You can feel the emotion in every stroke. It's titled, "What We'll Never Admit." It's the most honest portrayal of identity crisis I've ever seen, and I believe it would destroy Mick Jagger's public image if released. So, what was Jagger so afraid of? Not the nudity. Both artists had posed nude before, not the intimacy. Their friendship was well documented. The fear was the honesty. Because that painting didn't show two rock stars. It showed two men who didn't know who they were terrified of their own desires, their own confusion, their own inability to fit into the boxes the world demanded. In 1973, there was no language for that. No safe space. Just fear. And 50 years later, even with all his success, all his survival, Mick Jagger still couldn't face it. The legal battle continues. The painting remains sealed. Jagger's team has offered to purchase it outright and destroy it. Bowie's estate has refused. David wanted Mick to decide, a representative said, but he didn't want it destroyed. He wanted Mick to choose. Jagger, now 82, has not commented publicly, but sources close to him say he rereads Bowie's letter often. One friend described it this way: Mick isn't fighting to protect himself, he's fighting to protect the memory of who they both were. That night captured something so raw, so unfiltered, that releasing it would change how the world sees both of them. And Mick doesn't think the world deserves to see that. Maybe he's right. Maybe some art is too honest, too personal, too sacred. Or maybe Bowie was right. Maybe truth matters more than comfort. The painting exists, sealed, guarded, worth millions but priceless. Two legends created it in a moment of complete vulnerability. One wanted it shared. One wants it buried. And the question remains, what do we owe to artists who gave us everything on stage but kept one thing for themselves? Subscribe if this story moved you. Share it if you believe some secrets matter more than fame. And tell me in the comments, should the painting be released, or does Mick Jagger have the right to protect the scared kid he used to be? Because sometimes the most powerful art is the art we never see.